HMM lecture is not over. HMM lecture is over or not?
Over, ma'am.
Less number of students are here. That's why I'm asking. Okay. So today we will take psychosis over construction by H.A. Robert. We have seen the SORA as a dyscrasia. We have seen the introduction of the miasm. Now we will take the second miasm, that is the psychosis by H.A. Robert. So we know psychosis is a venereal type of miasm. It is transmitted because of the improper coition. Overconstruction is a red line symptom of psychosis. Whenever there is extra growth present in the body, whenever extra deposition is there, then this is a psychotic miasm. Uh, the psychotic miasm is spread when it is spread by the improper coition, then the condylomatas are formed on the genital organs. And if the patient removes that condylomata, then this may leads to the complications, and hence it should not be removed by the surgery. The proper anti-miasmatic treatment is necessary to remove that psychotic miasm. So now we will start this miasm from the HA Robert. When we come to analyze the psychotic miasm in relation to the table of elements with respect to their atomic weights, and we find an entirely new grouping of symptoms. We have stated in the summary of miasmatic symptomatology that psoric manifests most strongly and functional symptoms that we have seen in the last lecture. Ki Sora will manifest you in the functional symptom where there is no overgrowth, no pathological changes. The simple signs and symptoms they are related to the Sora miasm, cough, coryza without any asthma, without any pneumonic patches, skin eruptions, only itching is there, only boils भी नहीं, only itching if it is present, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation without any pathological changes. These are all the manifestations of the sora where only the function is disturbed. Syphilitic miasm, we have seen there is a destruction of the tissue, so that may be the formation of the ulcer, that may be the bleeding piles because of the destruction. Then the psychotic has an opposite manifestation. So, what is the manifestation of the psychosis? That is the overgrowth of the tissue and the infiltration of the tissue. That is a deposition. So, it may be the infiltration in the lung, infiltration in the kidney, maybe the infiltration in any organ. So, whenever there is a deposition, whenever there is extra growth, then this leads to the psychotic miasm. Okay, understood this much?
Yes, ma'am.
Sora
Yes, ma'am.
related to the functional changes, syphilis related to the destruction, and psychosis related to the overgrowth and infiltration. All the 3 points are clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Shall I move further?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what the H.A. Roberts said. Therefore, we see that psychotic stigma means miasm, present a problem in physical construction, which is the exact opposite of the sora, right? Because the sora only causes the functional disturbances in the body. Only the cell which is not working properly, that is the soric manifestation, but there is no extra proliferation of the cell and there is no destruction of the cell. But in the psychosis, what happened? The growth of the cell, the growth of the tissue, the growth of the bone is much more. Granting that our theory has been far sound. Thus, while psoric patient is unable to assimilate, we have seen this, the low power of assimilation in the sora, and that's why he wants to eat even in the midnight when the stomach is full. Still, that person can eat anything because of the improper assimilation, and because of that improper assimilation, later on he may have the digestive problems. So the similarly, the in the psychotic miasm, the sufficient elements from sunlight, air, water, food, etc., for a well-rounded physical structure in which to house a normal healthy mind and spirit. We find that the psychotic patient is too susceptible to available constructive elements. So here the construction is much more. When he is taking the food, that food leads to the extra growth. When he takes the water, this again helped for the extra growth of anything or the constructive work of that element. For example, if he is taking the calcium from the food, then he may have a tendency to form a constructive work, that is a stone may be formed in the kidney. Or if he is taking the more amount of the spicy fried food, if that person is obese, then he is more susceptible to form the gallstone, that is again a infiltration, that is again a constructive element, or that is a constructive work that is happening inside the body. He seizes upon and assimilates to the point of overgrowth of tissue. Excessive amount of minerals, calcium, this may leads to the excessive growth of the bone. So constructive work is going on inside the body, the deposition work is going on inside the body. The air from the water, from the food, we are taking the nutrients. But what happen inside the body? Because of this wrong assimilation, this leads to the constructive work. If this is so, it explains the reason for the pathology in all parts of the body that manifest overgrowth of the natural tissue. So there is a proliferation of the cells, ultimately the tissues, and this leads to the overgrowth, and that overgrowth is nothing but the psychotic miasm. And we have already noted that manifest overgrowth of the natural tissue. We have already noted that where we find the malignancies with the overgrowth of tissues and infiltration, we are almost be able to trace the psychotic trend. So malignancy, overgrowth, that is the nothing but the psychotic miasm. So from this paragraph, we have learned that key, because of the improper assimilation, the soric problems are different. But because of the improper assimilation, this leads to the constructive work. This leads to the deposition. This may leads to the malignancy and overgrowth in the psychotic tent or in the psychotic miasm. Clear? Second paragraph.
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Consider the necessary elements for physical construction and the lavish manner in which they are supplied by nature in fresh air, sunshine, fresh fruits, vegetables, nuts, even in a fresh seafood and animal tissue which we have adapted for the food. So all these things are very essential for our body. We require the fresh air so that the oxygen percentage will be proper inside our body. We require sunshine for vitamin D. We require the fresh fruits and vegetables for the minerals, for the vitamins, for the fibers. Nuts we require for the proteins. Even the fresh food, that is the seafood, also we required for the more amount of protein. Animal tissues, that is the same thing, from that we are getting the lots of protein. So all these things we are eating as a source of food. In case of manganese, for instance, maculum tells us that but a small amount is required. We know these are the minerals: calcium, iodine, iron, manganese. They require us in a small quantity in our day to day life or from our daily diet. But it is very difficult to prepare a diet entirely free from these elements for experimental purposes. We cannot remove that magnesium, we cannot remove the calcium from the spinach, from the cabbage. It is very difficult to get the mineral free diet because they required for our body. And if there is a deficiency, we know if there is a deficiency of these small minerals, this may leads to the different types of diseases that you have learned in the physiology. What happen if there is a calcium deficiency or the iron deficiency or the iodine deficiency? It is also difficult to prepare the food and omit the small amount required when an excess of the substance must be available in normal diet. So as we are not, we cannot remove it, we cannot add it. The amount which is present in that particular food, it is remain as it is. Yet the healthy normal system absorb only the amount required to maintain the state of health. लेकिन ये साइकोटिक माइजम में क्या है? The amount which is required for the proper growth, that things are useful for the construction because of the improper assimilation again. So here they have given that key certain nutrients we are required for our body for the proper growth. We are getting the nutrient from fruit and vegetables and from different seafood and from the animal tissue, from the air, from the sunshine. They required us in a small quantity, but they required us. We cannot add it, we cannot remove it. Whenever there is a deficiency, they will show their effect. So though they require in a small quantity, but our body want it. The psychotic miasm, what happen inside their body, they are taking वो थोड़ा थोड़ा जमा करके, this will leads to the deposition. A list of antipsychotic remedies has been compiled from the several standard work on materia medica. We shall give the list exempted from this, comprising only those remedies with a primary chemical relationship. I will be noted the almost all the remedies fall within the group of body construction element. But in it is significant that so-called double salt predominates. Double salt means magnesium mure or calcarea carb, where the two things are present: magnesium and muraticum. So magnesium is also present, mure also present, or calcarea phos. So calcarea means calcium is present plus phosphorus is also present. Similarly, calcarea carb. So calcium plus carbonate. So these are known as the double salt. So most of the medicines which are having the antipsychotic nature, so they are the double salts. Another interesting fact is that the carbons are almost entirely lacking, while the calcareas appear infrequently. Chemical combinations, the very lowest element, are found in fairly frequent, such as fluoric acid, nitric acid, and ammonium mure. So, the chemical combination are very less in the psychotic preparation. We will see what are the different antipsychotic medicines. It is interesting to note that while there is a predominance of Kali group, but the Kali carb is omitted. Other Kalis are included in the antipsychotic medicine. It will be noted too that when the aurum muraticum, barata muraticum, cinnaberis, mercury, plumbum appear in the list. So these are all the metals. That is aurum made. That is a metal. Mercury is again a metal. Plumbum is also metal. So they are added in the antipsychotic medicine. The first three are tinctured with an element much lower weight, much lower atomic weight, while the last two are comparatively rarely indicated in the true psychotic condition. So we will a better way we will see the list of antipsychotic medicine. That is the alumina, fluoric acid is only there, ammonium mure, graphitis, hiparsulf. Again, the two things are here. Argenticum, nitricum. Argenticum, nitricum is also there. Argenticum is also there. Calibichromicum, arsenicum. Then Kalia iodide. Iodine is also included with the Kali group. That is a potassium iodide. Kali means potassium group is there and this is the iodine. Kali muraticum, again double group. Baryta muraticum, Kali sulf, borax, lithium, bismuth, calcarea phos that I have given you the example. Then the chlorine, nitrum muraticum, ferrum iodum. Here again the iron and the iodum, it is a combination of two salts. Phosphorus, silesia, plumbum, sulfur. Sulfur is again an antisyphilitic medicine, but the sulfur cover all the three miasms and that's why they have included sulfur here. Similarly, nitrum mure also covers all the three miasm. Silesia also cover, but the silesia is more psychotic as compared to the syphilitic. So these are all the antipsychotic remedies. Okay, समझा है यहाँ तक what are the antipsychotic remedies
Yes,
which
ma'am.
are required? These are the nutrients, or these are the salts which require our body in a small proportion, but whenever there is a deficiency these may leads to the different problems and that's why they are appear in the combination. So these are the antipsychotic medicines for the psychotic miasm. Understood this much?
Yes, ma'am.
It is not to be thought that these remedies, even those from the animal and vegetable sources added, are all the might indicated in the psychotic conditions, but these show the trend of remedies that are most likely to be indicated. So, whatever may be the source of these remedies, that remedies are having a tendency for the extra growth, for the over construction, and that's why they are included in the psychotic miasm. It is accepted fact that all the plant remedies contains the constructive element rebuilt into the potential and varied combination in every species of plant life. So that's why they have included the plant remedies, because they are also having that means the nutrients are much more in the plant remedies. That's why they are included in the psychotic meism. Similarly, the animal remedies are also here in the, because they are also having the reconstruction potentiality, and that's why they are again in the psychotic meism. However, in association of element with the remedies under consideration, we note a greater proportion of those containing chlorine. Certain uh, salts also we have seen, that is the bromine, chlorine, argenticum, depending upon their atomic weight, they are added in the form of the psychotic medicine. So these are all about the psychotic medicine. एक सेकंड ना. So we have seen, hello,
Yes,
hello.
ma'am.
Huh.
Yes,
So we
ma'am.
have seen about the psychotic medicines. Why they are the psychotic medicines? The psychosis, that is the overconstruction is there. Overconstruction is because of the deposition of the certain nutrients. Though these nutrients require in a small quantity, but because of the improper assimilation inside the body, this leads to the constructive work. With the help of that, nutrients. It may be the manganese, it may be the calcium, or it may be the anything. So that overconstruction is nothing but the psychotic taint, and for that we have giving the medicines which are having the double salts. So we have seen that medicine. So only 3 points we have seen about the medicine. Now we will see the symptoms of the psychosis. So first thing we the one point we have seen, that is the overconstruction. Now how this psychosis is developed, that we will see now. Psychosis is generally understood to be a gonorrheal poison. Gonorrhea is the disease that you will learn in the bacteriology or in the pathology. So that is the psychotic miasm. We should make a distinction clear between the gonorrhea and the psychosis. So that जैसे मैंने पहले बताया था कि syphilis disease जब आप पढ़ोगे, so that is a different thing, and the syphilis miasm is different. Similarly, the gonorrhea disease, when you will learn, that is a different thing, and the psychotic miasm is different thing. Psychosis is generally understood to be a gonorrheal poison. We should make a distinction clear between the gonorrhea and psychosis. Gonorrhea is a acute infection of गोनोकोकाई. आपका हुआ है ये थोड़ा सा गोनोकोकाई का इंफॉर्मेशन हो हुई है आपकी बैक्टीरियोलॉजी में? कोकाय, बैसिलाई, ये डिफरेंस हुआ है? डिफरन्स
नाही झालं
बिटवीन बॅसिलाय आणि कोकाय झालाय का?
मॅम. नाही झालं.
बॅक्टेरियोलॉजी चालू आहे ना तुमचं?
3-4च
मॅम.
झालेत मॅम आतापर्यंत.
बरं. शेप्स ऑफ बॅसिलाय किंवा बॅसिलाय आपण कधी म्हणतो, कोकाय आपण कधी म्हणतो, हे झालाय का?
सर्क्युलर असले तो कोकाय म्हणतो आणि
हां.
सिलेंडर किंवा असं त्याला
बरोबर.
बॅसिलस म्हणतो.
ट्युबरक्युलमला आपण बॅसिलाय म्हणतो आणि गनोरियाच्या ह्याला आपण कोकाय म्हणतोय. सो दिस इज कॉज बाय द बॅक्टेरिया, दॅट इज द गोनोरिया. पण हे आपल्या सायकोटिकपेक्षा डिफरंट आहे. मॅनिफेस्टेशन जरी सेम असलं तरी आपल्याला ट्रीटमेंट देण्याची पद्धत आपली वेगळी आहे. विच मेक्स फ्रॉम 5 to 10 days टू डेव्हलप द युरेथ्रायटिस फ्रॉम अन एक्सपोजर. सो इम्प्रॉपर कॉयशनमुळे दिस लीड्स टू द गनोरिया. तर त्याच्यामध्ये पहिलं सिम्पटम कोणतं येतं, तर युरेथ्रायटिस, दॅट इज द इन्फ्लमेशन होतं तिथे. मग त्याच्यानंतर बॉईल फॉर्मेशन, पॅप्युल्स, पश्यूल्स अँड दिस, हे सगळं मिळून होतं तिथे गनोरिया. ड्युरिंग दिस इन्क्युबेशन पिरियड, व्हॉट इज इन्क्युबेशन पिरियड? इन्क्युबेशन पिरियड म्हणजे काय? बॅक्टेरिया आणि व्हायरसेसचा
बॅक्टेरियाने बॉडीत एंट्री केल्यापासून ते सिम्पटम येईपर्यंतचा पिरियड म्हणजे
व्हेरी
इन्क्युबेशन.
गुड. बरोबर. म्हणजे तो तेव्हा आपल्या बॉडीमध्ये पॅसिव्ह असतो, पण तो ॲक्टिव्ह होण्याकरता त्याला जो काळ लागतो, दॅट इज नथिंग बट इन्क्युबेशन पिरियड. अँड दिस इज व्हॅरी अकॉर्डिंग टू द नेचर ऑफ बॅक्टेरिया आणि व्हायरस. Then the local manifestations are thrown outward by nature at the point of attack as a resentment of the vital energy to the infection. So after during that incubation period, that miasm किंवा जे काही इन्फेक्शन आहे ते त्याची तिथे ग्रोथ होते, and this leads to the derangement of, this is only because of the derangement of the vital force. If the gonorrhea is thoroughly and completely cured, practically no psychosis ever develop. जर पहिल्या स्टेजमध्येच जर हा गनोरिया ट्रीट करण्यात आला, so this may not turn into the complications. The psychosis is established after the suppressed gonorrhea. For example, if the person is having the improper coition, he develops the disease gonorrhea, and if it is सप्रेस बाय द सर्जरी किंवा इनॲप्रोप्रिएट मेडिसिन, तर ते सप्रेस झाल्यामुळे काय होतंय, तो जो मायझम आहे ओव्हरग्रोथचा सायकोसिस, सो तो मायझम पॅलिएट होईल आणि परत येणार, तो पॅलिएट होणार, परत येणार. तर तिथे आता सायकोटिक मायझम तिथे डेव्हलप होणार आहे. कसं? बाय द सपरेशन ऑफ गनोरिया. सोरा कसा डेव्हलप होतो? बाय द सपरेशन ऑफ स्किन मॅनिफेस्टेशन्स किंवा स्किन कंप्लेंट किंवा स्किन डिसीजेस किंवा कोणत्याही फंक्शनल चेंजेस जेव्हा आपण पॅलिएट करतो तेव्हा तिथे सोरा डेव्हलप होणार. जेव्हा आपण गनोरियासारखे डिसीजेस, जेनायटल ऑर्गन्सचे काही डिसीजेस आहेत ते समजा सप्रेस झाले, सो दिस लीड्स टू द सायकोटिक मायझम. Sorry. When the acute infection is driven upon the vital energy by the external method of suppression, and it then becomes a systematic stigma, permeating every living cell of organism and transmitting its deadly destructive forces to the offspring, as well as retaining the full destructiveness of its power in the original individual and impregnating the mother of the child. So आता ह्याच्यामध्ये स्टोरीज सांगायची म्हणजे ते कसं ट्रान्समिट होतं, तर दॅट पर्सन म्हणजे जो काही माणूस आहे, इफ ही हॅव्हिंग द इम्प्रॉपर क्वेशन विथ द मल्टिपल पार्टनर्स, देन दिस मे लीड्स टू द गनोरिया, दॅट इज अ इम्प्रॉपर क्वेशन. मग ह्या इम्प्रॉपर क्वेशन नंतर इफ ही मॅरिड ऑफिशियली, ही इज हॅव्हिंग द पार्टनर, बट दॅट पर्सन त्याला माहित नाहीये की ड्यू टू द मल्टिपल पार्टनर ही इज हॅव्हिंग द गनोरिया, he may transfer the same infection to that lady. That lady may not develop the certain symptoms in the primary stage, and if she conceives, then that child may have the manifestations of that psychosis. During the pregnancy or during the conceived period जेव्हा असतो, if she know की she is having the gonorrhea, तिला सपोज तिथे इरप्शन्स आले जेनेटल ऑर्गन्सवर, बॉइल्स आले और दुसरे काही सिम्टम्स तिला दिसले, आफ्टर दॅट पर्सन इज ऑल्सो हॅव्हिंग द गनोरिया, if they are suppressing it by taking the allopathic medicine, definitely त्यांच्या नेक्स्ट जनरेशनमध्ये, त्यांच्या ऑफस्प्रिंगमध्ये द सायकोटिक मायझम जो आहे तो ट्रान्सफर होणार आहे. बट बिफोर द कन्सेप्शन त्या दोघांनी जर व्यवस्थित ट्रीटमेंट घेतली विदाऊट सर्जरी अँड विदाऊट एनी ओल्ड स्कूल मेडिसिन, अँटीमायझमॅटिक ट्रीटमेंट जर घेतली, तर ऑफस्प्रिंगमध्ये सायकोटिक मायझम किंवा सायकोटिक टेंट दिसण्याचे चान्सेस खूप कमी होतात. So this is the background how the psychosis is developed from one generation to another. आता ह्याला पर्टिक्युलरली जेनेटल ऑर्गनवरच ऑफस्प्रिंगला सिम्टम्स येतील असे नाही, तर त्याचे सिम्टम्स डिफर होतात. दॅट पर्सन मे दॅट स्मॉल चाइल्ड किंवा तो ऑफस्प्रिंग ज्याला आपण म्हणतो, सो त्याला मे बी हार्टमध्ये प्रॉब्लेम येईल, किंवा क्लेफ्ट पॅलेट राहणार, किंवा एखादा दातच त्याला जन्मतः येईल, किंवा एखादा फिंगर त्याला जास्त कमी राहील किंवा जास्त राहील, किंवा त्याची ग्रोथ प्रॉपर होणार नाही. सो दीज आर द सर्टन मॅनिफेस्टेशन्स ऑफ दॅट सायकोटिक टेंट. कशामुळे? तर बिकॉज ऑफ द इम्प्रॉपर क्वेश्चन either by the mother or by the father. So the offspring may have the certain manifestation. If both of them are taking the proper treatment, then the chances may be low for this psychotic manifestation, and that's why we are saying ki these miasms are transferring from one generation to the another generation. तर त्या जनरेशनमध्ये जर प्रॉपर ट्रीटमेंट घेऊन आपण स्टॉप केलं, तर ते नेक्स्ट जनरेशनमध्ये जाण्याचे चान्सेस फार कमी असतात, किंवा गेले तरी पण द मॅनिफेस्टेशन्स आर नॉट मच सिरियस. The suppressed gonorrheal infection is very apt to first show itself in attacking the blood and producing the anemic condition. जसं मी तुम्हाला म्हटलं की त्या बाळामध्ये जेनेटल ऑर्गन्सवर इरप्शन दिसणार नाही, तर ते बाळ काय होऊ शकतं? ॲनिमिक होऊ शकतं. देअर मे बी द कटारल इन्फ्लमेशन तिथे होऊ शकतं. ऑफन टाइम्स अँड इन्फ्लमेटरी रुमॅटिझम डेव्हलप होतं. आता इम्प्रॉपर क्वेश्चन समजा झाला आहे, गनोरिया झालेला आहे, ते सप्रेस केलं आहे, तर नेक्स्ट जनरेशनमध्ये तर जातं. ठीक आहे ते. आणि ह्यांना काय त्रास होतात? तर दे मे हॅव द रुमॅटिक प्रॉब्लेम. जिथे-जिथे ओव्हर ग्रोथ होईल त्या बोनमध्ये, रुमॅटॉइड आर्थरायटिस होऊ शकतं, किंवा अजून दुसरे काही प्रॉब्लेम होतील आहे. सायनोव्हियल फ्लुइडचं तिथे कलेक्शन होईल आहे. Inflammation flows in the soft tissues and changes in the fibers and the muscles. In fact, the whole organism is involved. Sometime a stasis develop in the lymphatics. म्हणजे जिथे जिथे कन्स्ट्रक्शन होईल, जिथे जिथे डिपॉझिशन होतील, असे सिम्टम्स येणं तिथे चालू होईल. There is a swelling in the groin following the separation and inflammation of the prostatic gland. So कोणती पण सिस्टीम याच्यामध्ये अफेक्ट होऊ शकते बिकॉज ऑफ द सेपरेशन ऑफ दिस गनोरिया. तर आता आपण काय बघितलं की हाऊ द सायकोसिस इज डेव्हलप बिकॉज ऑफ द सेपरेशन ऑफ द गनोरिया. दॅट psychosis may transfer from one generation to the another generation. How this gonorrhea is developed? Because of the improper coition. The offspring or the next generation may have the certain psychotic symptoms, or that mother and father, after the some period of time of that separation, they may develop the different diseases which are related to the deposition, which are related to the infiltration. So they may have the rheumatic problem, they may have the soft tissues ke problem, or they may have the prostatic gland ke problem, especially in the male. So these are all the manifestation of the suppressed gonorrhea. So ये suppressed एक gonorrhea हो गया. So psychotic tent will develop and they shows the different symptoms according to the nature. समजला इतकं?
Yes, ma'am.
So what we have seen about the psychosis, first point is overconstruction, infiltration is a red line symptom of the psychosis. Psychosis have a tendency to develop the constructive work inside the body. Third thing is that the psychotic medicines, they are generally in the combination of the double salt, or they are present in the form of double salt. Fourth thing, we have seen how the psychosis develop, or how the it comes into our body. How it comes? By the gonorrhea. The suppressed gonorrhea, this may leads to the psychotic miasm. When this psychotic miasm, sorry, when this gonorrhea is suppressed, the psychotic manifestation will start developing. Fifth thing, we have seen that psychosis is also hereditary in nature. It may transfer from one generation to the another generation because of the fault in the previous generation. The psychotic miasm may show, or the tent or the symptoms we can see in any system. It may be the rheumatic system, or that is a muscles and the joints. It may be the circular system. It may be the lymphatic system, or any system. Symptoms त्याचे कसेही येऊ शकतात from one generation to the another generation. Even the offspring may have the symptoms after the birth. Even that child may be the anemic, that child may have the certain manifestations like cleft palate, or some heart problem, or some abnormalities in the extremities. By any form, that psychotic टेंट आपल्याला तिथे दिसेल आहे. So these are the certain manifestation because of the suppression of the gonorrhea. These are the symptoms that first produce after the suppression, showing that the whole organism is involved. And in this, the grip of this destructive force. आता जेव्हा लिम्फॅटिक सिस्टीम अफेक्ट होईल, किंवा जिथे रुमॅटिक सिस्टीम अफेक्ट होईल, तर तिथे काय चालू होणार आहे? डिपॉझिशन चालू होणार आहे तिथे. अँड दिस लीड्स टू द डिफरंट टाइप्स ऑफ डिस्ट्रक्टिव्ह फोर्सेस. त्या माणसाला चालता येणार नाही, किंवा त्या माणसाला लिम्फॅटिक सिस्टीम बरोबर राहणार नाही, तर त्याचे वेगळे मॅनिफेस्टेशन तिथे दिसणार आहे. Seldom do we get these constitutional symptoms when the initial gonorrhea is cured by homeopathically indicated remedy, and if there is a constitutional taint, it may be the mild form. जसं मी तुम्हाला आधीच सांगितलं. Okay, the meeting will over. Rejoin the meeting after 5 to 7 minutes. Seldom the constitutional symptoms when initially gonorrhea is cured. कधी कधी जर गनोरिया लक्षात, म्हणजे गनोरिया करता त्या पेशंटनी समजा होमिओपॅथिक इंडिकेटेड रेमेडी घेतली, तर काय होणार आहे? ते जसं मी तुम्हाला मगाशी म्हटलं, द द ट्रान्सफॉर्मेशन ऑफ द सिम्टम टू द नेक्स्ट जनरेशन मे बी इन द माइल्ड फॉर्म. क्लेफ पॅलेट मे बी तिथे राहणार नाही, किंवा रुमॅटिक प्रॉब्लेम तिथे राहतील, पण अगदी माइल्ड फॉर्ममध्ये राहतील. बट फॉर दॅट वी हॅव टू टेक द प्रॉपर इंडिकेटेड रेमेडी विच इज सिमिलर इन नेचर. तिथे इम्प्रॉपर मेडिसिन घ्यायची नाही आहे, किंवा तिथे सर्जरी पण करायची नाही आहे. अदरवाईज दिस मे लीड्स टू द सप्रेशन. पण इथे जर प्रॉपर इंडिकेटेड मेडिसिन घेतली, सो द सप्रेशन तिथे